All right, future barristers, let's talk about something that can make or break your case. Interpreters. This is your guide to mastering the UCPR rules for the Queensland bar exam, so listen up.
Okay, let's dive right in. Imagine this. You're in court, and your star witness, the one your whole case depends on, doesn't speak a word of English. Are you ready? If you don't have these rules down cold, you're in for a rough time. We're going to make sure that's not you.
First up, Section 1, Foundations. We're going to lay the groundwork here, what these rules are for, and the key definitions you absolutely have to know.
Okay, first rule you need to commit to memory. Rule 429VA. It spells out the two main goals here. 1, to make sure the court is the one calling the shots on any interpreted evidence. And 2, to make it crystal clear what an interpreter's special duties are. And this is a huge deal, right? An interpreter isn't just some contractor you hired. They are basically an officer of the court for this purpose.
Next up, a simple but foundational rule. Rule 429VC. What does it say? Super simple. Proceedings are in English. Period. That's our starting point, our ground zero. Everything else we're about to discuss is an exception to this fundamental rule.
All right, for the exam, you've got to be precise with your language, so let's nail down the key definitions from Rule 429BB. First, interpret. What does it mean? It's all about the spoken word. We're talking about that real-time oral translation happening right there in the courtroom.
Still in Rule 429VB, let's talk about cite translate. Now, this is a big one for you as counsel, especially when you're dealing with documents. You hand an interpreter an affidavit written in English, and they read it out loud to your witness in their native language. That is cite translation. Super important. Okay, last definition from Rule 429VB, and honestly, this might be the most important one. Accurately. What does it mean? It's not just getting the words right. It means a complete, total, undistorted transfer of meaning. That means preserving the content, sure, but also the intent. Even if the testimony is offensive or shocking or just plain weird, the interpreter's job is not to clean it up, it's to deliver it, word for word, feeling for feeling.
All right, Section 2. So when do you actually need an interpreter? When do all these rules come into play? Let's break down the two main situations you'll encounter.
Okay, pay close attention here, because this is classic exam fodder. There's a huge difference between a party needing an interpreter and a witness needing one. For a party, you're looking at Rule 429VD. The rule says the court must permit them to have one. That's mandatory, no choice. But for a witness, that's Rule 429VE, and the language changes to may give evidence. See that? That's discretion for the court. Must versus may. Know that difference. Oh, and also know who's footing the bill. It's always the party involved, either for themselves or for the witness they called.
Section 3. Qualifying your interpreter. So you know you need one. Great. But you can't just grab anyone who speaks the language. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of who actually qualifies.
Okay, Rule 429VF, subsection 1. Think of this as your non-negotiable three-part checklist. 1. They have to be certified by an agency like NADI. No certification, no go. 2. They have to read and agree to the Code of Conduct. This is their ethical compass. And 3. They have to take an oath or affirmation in court. That's the legal hook. Miss a single one of these, and they're out.
Now, flip the coin. Rule 429VF, subsection 2, gives you the automatic disqualifications. The big idea here is impartiality. Simple as that. Are they a party? Are they related to someone? Do they have a financial interest in this case? Any of these things, and they are automatically out. And listen, it is your job as counsel to check for these conflicts before you ever set foot in the courtroom.
But what if you're dealing with a really rare dialect and there's just no certified interpreter to be found? Well, there's a backdoor. It's Rule 429VG. But let me tell you, the bar to get through it is incredibly high. You have to convince the court they have the skill. They still have to take the oath and understand their duty is to the court, not you. And, this is key, the court has to order the whole thing to be recorded. This is an absolute last resort, a break glass in case of emergency rule. Okay, Section 4, the interpreter's core duties. So they're qualified. They're in court. Now what? What are their absolute fundamental obligations? This is where we get to the heart of their role.
Right, this quote, Rule 429VH subsection 1. Burn this into your brain. The interpreter's paramount duty is to the court, not to you, not to your client, not to whoever's paying them. Their loyalty is to the court and to the process of justice. Full stop.
And just in case there was any doubt, Rule 429VH subsection 2 spells it out. That paramount duty to the court, it overrides everything else.
Any duty they might feel towards the person who hired them, gone. The court comes first, always. This is what keeps the whole system fair and the evidence reliable.
And what holds all these duties together? It's Rule 429 VI and the Code of Conduct. The rule makes it clear. The interpreter must follow the code. It's not optional. But look closely. There's a duty on you, too. As the barrister who engaged them, you must give them a copy of that code. That's a procedural box you have to tick. Don't forget it.
And finally, Section 5, Managing Interpreters in Court. Let's look at the practical, hands-on powers the court has to run the show.
If you're using affidavits, Rule 429 VJ is your best friend. Any translated affidavit needs a special certificate from the interpreter. That certificate does a few things, but the big one is that the interpreter has to certify that the witness appeared to understand what they were signing. It's a massive safeguard to make sure the evidence is solid.
And the court's power doesn't stop once things get started. It's totally dynamic. Under Rule 429 VK, the judge can jump in at any time and say, hang on a second, and ask the interpreter to correct something, clarify a word, or explain why they chose a particular phrase. It's the court actively policing the accuracy of the evidence in real time.
Now, Rule 429 VL, this is like the Swiss Army knife of court management for interpreters. It gives the judge a whole suite of powers to make directions about getting the interpreter ready. Things like, how are we going to establish their expertise? What documents can they see before the hearing? What dictionaries or tools can they bring with them? The court controls all of it.
And that power from Rule 429 VL carries right on into the hearing itself. The judge can decide how the interpreting happens, like should it be consecutive or simultaneous. They can order breaks so the interpreter stays sharp. They can even direct practical stuff like where everyone sits or how to handle security for the interpreter in a risky case.
So, what's the big picture here? When you step back and look at all these rules together, you see a complete, airtight framework. It's all about making sure that when language could be a barrier to justice, we have a system in place that guarantees fairness and, above all, accuracy.
So, we'll leave you with this question to chew on. The rules are the rules. They're black and white. But what happens when the interpretation itself is the problem? Knowing these rules is just step one. The real craft of being a barrister comes alive in that moment when you have to argue about a single word, a lost nuance, a cultural misunderstanding. This framework, this is your foundation for winning that argument.